What's up, everybody? My name is Isaac Huss, and today I'm going to talk about how to handle Valentine's Day when you're newly dating. Ah yes, Valentine's Day. That day that we celebrate this obscure Roman 3rd century martyr by feeling compelled to spend a bunch of money on red and pink things for that special someone in our lives. If you do sense a little bit of cynicism in my voice, well, congratulations. You've got me all figured out. But let's be real. As far as Americanized and overly commercialized holidays go, this one might just take the red velvet cake. And while typically I, and maybe you too, would be perfectly happy to let V-Day come and go without even realizing it, if you have a special someone in your life, and particularly a new special someone in your life, that's probably not going to fly. And that's not to say that the newer you are, the more you should celebrate it. In fact, it might just be the opposite. But what I am saying is that if you have a new love in your life, or maybe even a new like in your life, you're not just going to want to wing it. So with all that in mind, here are my 5 best pieces of advice on what to do about Valentine's Day when you're dating somebody new. Number 1, be prepared. In case you're new to this whole thing, Valentine's Day is a pretty big deal in popular culture. In fact, even if you're not new, it might even be bigger than you realize. As in, if you're even thinking about going out to dinner on February 14th, you should drop everything and make a reservation before it's too late. Like, I'm not even kidding. If you don't have a reservation yet, pause this video right now and make a reservation. You don't even have to use it, honestly. Don't be a jerk about it. If you're not going to use the reservation, be sure to cancel as far in advance as you can with the restaurant. But it's important to get that reservation in hand. It has a practical use, of course, but also shows your date that you can plan ahead. Number 2, get on the same page. Whether you like it or not, you're probably going to want to have a conversation about how to approach the whole Valentine's Day thing together. You might just think of it as another day on the calendar, and she might too. Or it might be just the opposite. Either way, you're going to want to know where she stands. Because, let's be honest, going too hard with your V-Day plans might actually freak her out. But going too light might risk sending the message that you don't know how to be gentlemanly or how to treat a woman. Or worse, that there's someone else that you're giving your attention to, or even that you're not that into her. As for the conversation itself, it could be as simple as a little flirty, "Hey, what are you doing on Tuesday?" And then see where she takes the conversation from there. Don't make it an interview. It's not a romance without a little mystery, of course. But you do need to gather some data. And here's a little pro tip on how you can find out the information that you need without spoiling the fun. Ask her BFF or a sister, for instance, how you might approach your planning. There's, of course, the practical element. You're going to find out what you need. But also, women love that stuff. Her BFF or sister are going to love helping, and she's going to love that you're bonding with them. Number 3, set a budget. I'm the type of guy who will offer to buy a round of drinks for perfect strangers at the bar before remembering that that stuff costs money. And of course, as the saying goes, money doesn't grow on trees. When I like someone, particularly in a romantic context, I tend to sign up for things without counting the cost first. Which I guess is good in some sort of metaphorical sense. But unless you, unlike me, have unlimited financial assets, I suggest you take a different approach. Instead, make a budget and maybe even think about a range of an amount of money that you'd be comfortable spending when it comes to planning Valentine's Day. And think of a limit that you simply will not exceed. That will help keep you from making any sort of crippling financial commitment in the heat of a romantic moment, like say at the dive bar at 11 p.m. when a random guy's coming around selling bouquets of cheap flowers. Then, think about what sort of bare minimum you think you can spend on the things that you want to do, whether it's for dinner or for flowers or what have you. That'll give you an idea of what sort of leeway you might have to spend a little bit more, let's say on a new outfit. And be creative. Yes, there is something special about February 14th itself, but if you choose to celebrate on a different day, like let's say the day before, a few days after, the weekend after, you very well might save some money, or at least give yourself more options than the typical Tuesday evening could afford. You could also save money by thinking outside the box. Think of who in your life has an interesting talent that might enhance an evening together. Like you could invite somebody to stop by and play a couple of songs on the violin. Or maybe there's somebody you know who could teach you how to make a nice appetizer or dessert in addition to whatever dinner you have planned. Budgeting isn't a terribly romantic activity, but it can help to ensure that that spark doesn't burn out. It is a marathon, not a sprint, after all. So make sure that you do have some discretionary spending left over for dates in March, April, and May. Number 4, it's the little things. If you aren't sure exactly what you should do or even what you want to do, just remember, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. This is somewhat of a made-up holiday after all, and there are certainly much more important things in life. But if you do plan to enjoy some of those more important things in life, like let's say marriage and starting a family, I wouldn't just skip over the romance thing, if you know what I mean. When it comes to Valentine's Day planning, then, the real important thing is that you understand where your boyfriend or girlfriend are coming from and do what you can to make an effort to make him or her feel special. That said, as I get older, some of the simpler things in life do take on greater meaning. For instance, there's just still something about a good old-fashioned handwritten note. Expressing how you feel about somebody in written form is timeless for a reason. Pretty much anyone and everyone appreciates something like that. That is, of course, because of the thought and effort that goes into something like that, but it is also what that thought and effort produces. Something tangible that can be read not just once, but over and over and over again. And some of those same feelings that you experience in the moment of receiving the note, you can re-experience those things time and time again. In fact, I would argue that you don't have to spend much money at all to make Valentine's Day a very meaningful moment for you and that special someone in your life. Whether it's a handwritten note, whether it's a home-cooked meal, even if you're not a particularly good cook, and maybe because you're not a particularly good cook, you putting in the effort to do something out of the ordinary because of how you feel about somebody, that matters. If she really cares for you, and she's the type of person that you want to care for, you will both appreciate any effort each other puts in, big or small. Which leads me to my final point. Wisdom and discernment. Starting a new romantic relationship is one of the most exciting things in life, and for that reason, it can help you to make some really stupid decisions. Let's just be real. Our ability to make good, clear decisions is often impaired sometimes by romantic feelings. So it's important to be on guard, particularly on Valentine's Day, I think, to make sure that you don't let these warm, fuzzy butterflies get you carried away. And frankly, Valentine's Day, when approached soberly, can be a good opportunity to do some real discernment when it comes to how you feel about somebody as a long-term candidate for a relationship and namely a vocation. Neither of which, by the way, should be equated with spending a lot of money or lavishing someone with flattery. And not to be a Debbie Downer or anything, but it's very possible that this next Valentine's Day could loom large in your memory, for better or for worse. And whether you look back on this occasion with nostalgia or regret will be somewhat, at least, determined by the level of prudence and discernment you exercise before, during, and after. For instance, it can be tough to be single on Valentine's Day, and I can vouch for that. And it can be less tough to be not single on Valentine's Day. And that can lead to a temptation to rush perhaps prematurely into a relationship with February 14th looming on the horizon. You know who you are. When in doubt, it's probably good to err on the side of caution when it comes to how serious you should take this whole Valentine's Day thing with a new relationship. As the old proverb goes, don't stir up love before it's time. Now, the Bible doesn't say all that much about romantic love, so when it does speak about it, it's better to listen. In other words, it is possible to spoil a good thing by rushing into it too quickly, such as peeling a fruit before it's ripe. And in this case, the act of waiting to express love and affection can actually become an act of love itself. In fact, if all goes well, you'll both have plenty of Valentine's days together to celebrate in your future. Well, that's all I got for today. What did you think? Any piece of advice that jumped out at you? Anything you disagreed with? Anything that you learned along the way, or anything you had to learn the hard way? That's what that comment section below is for. We'd love to hear your response to this video, any ideas you have in the future, and please do like and follow us if you haven't already. Hit that bell even if you want to be notified for new videos. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you the next time.